So hi everyone, my name is Lee Ringma. My partner and I run a homotherapy center and farm in the Hunter Valley, New South Wales. We've been performing Agnihotra and other homas for about 35 years every day. We trained under Sri Vasant Paranjapi, who is the preceptor of homotherapy for the whole planet. So homotherapy is spreading all over the planet as an antidote to pollution, both on a personal level, detoxifying us, but also our environment. So it's incredibly important. But one of the other amazing things that regular performance of Agnihotra does is protect your environment and the area where you live. And in this particular presentation, I'm going to show instances of protection during environmental disasters. So this has taken place all over the world for many, many people in various situations. Of course, we cannot guarantee anything, but all we can do is share the experiences people are having all over the world. And it's particularly important now with the crazy things that are happening on the planet, both due to corruption, corporate greed, but also many years of environmental pollution and distortion that continues. So Mother Nature is in upheaval, trying to shake off the pollution that's been imposed upon her and come back into balance. And also there are a lot of man-made disasters as well that are deliberately imposed upon us for political and social control. So we've got a lot that we're dealing with. An Agnihotra, the sunrise, sunset healing fire, is here to empower us basically on the grassroots level. It's here to enable us, if we perform it regularly, sunrise, sunset, as much as we can within our lifestyle, depending on the job we have and when we're available, because Agnihotra must be performed at sunrise and sunset. But as much as you can be regular, then you create a protective biosphere. And within that protective biosphere, which extends for about 12 kilometers up and about a kilometer diameter, like a dome, all the prana, the 7 layers of prana in the atmosphere, come into balance due to the performance of Agnihotra. And also there's an abundance of prana due to the performance of Agnihotra. So it's a vital and balanced biosphere. It's also filled with nutrients that come in at sunrise. They flood in with the sunrise energies right down to the physical plane when we perform Agnihotra. On an unhealthy planet, which is the situation that we live on, the atmosphere is unhealthy, and it actually hinders to quite some extent the inundation of life force and natural nutrients that pour in at sunrise to rejuvenate, purify, and heal nature every day. When we do Agnihotra, that situation is corrected, and the natural flood of nutrients and life force and all the total spectrum of life-sustaining energies that are generated in the sun, they come in at sunrise and imbue our area, what is called our homa means healing fire, imbue our biosphere with this natural it makes nature natural again instead of artificial and deteriorated and polluted. So it comes into a natural state. And this natural state is what is protecting us. And of course, there's much more to it. Anyway, I'll go into share screen and try and explain a bit how, why, and also all the marvelous experiences that people are having. Okay, so we're Homotherapy Association of Australia, or a non-profit association. We've been teaching Agnihotra and homotherapy for about 35 years in Australia, but also spreading out to Asia as well, Philippines, Singapore, Malaysia, New Zealand. I hope this bar will go away in a minute. Yep, thank you. So Agnihotra creates a protective field. It's called a homobiosphere. So here's a picture of that beautiful sunrise energies, the sun pouring in, and all these fires, all these Agnihotra fires are being performed, and they're connected and linked to this beautiful energy. Hang on, I've just got to allow some people to come in. There you go. So Agnihotra attracts a flood of life-sustaining energies into the environment, creating a nutritionalized, vitalized, and purified atmosphere. So it brings in micronutrients, it brings in prana, a flood of prana, and this in turn purifies the atmosphere. And the purified atmosphere also impacts the water bodies and the soil. So everything is getting purified in this inundation of energy at sunrise. And the biosphere that it creates extends for 12 kilometers up and approximately 1 kilometer diameter. And this field is both biological, full of micronutrients but also energetic. So life force, you could say, is energy, and also heightened vibration. So all these things are happening in our biosphere. It's biologically nourished and imbued with life force, and it has a heightened vibration. So regular sunrise and sunset Agnihotra maintains this biosphere. So when you perform Agnihotra, then these energies pour in. Then, of course, it will dissipate. And then you do Agnihotra again at sunset, the energies pour in. If you do Agnihotra for 3 months, every day, sunrise, sunset, and then continue, the biosphere does not dissipate. It remains intact. So that's very useful. So one Agnihotra brings good energy to approximately 40 acres, just one Agnihotra. And if you want to strengthen the Homa biosphere, you can add daily Om Triambakam Homa, which is another healing fire, which is performed in an ongoing way. So, for example, Fritz and I, we do 1 hour of Om Triambakam Homa a day. So if there's 2 people here, we get 2 hours of Om Triambakam Homa done. If there's other people here, they also commit to 1 hour. And this is the way we fortify our Homa biosphere. Of course, we're not suggesting to the general public to do such extensive practices. The main healing cycle is initiated by the performance of sunrise and sunset Agnihotra. And this is a diagram showing how performing Agnihotra creates a channel which reaches up 12 kilometers, and the pranic energy is drawn down through this channel towards the pyramid and then boosted out to the atmosphere, to the water resources, to the animals, the trees. And then Agnihotra gives nutrition to all of life, plants, animals, humans, as well as this pranic energy. So this is a statement by Sriva Sant Paranjapi. So he's our Agnihotra teacher, and he's the preceptor of homotherapy. So let me just explain that sunrise, sunset, Agnihotra is the basis of homotherapy. Homa means healing fire. So Agnihotra is a particular healing fire. We mentioned Om Triambakam Homa, that's another healing fire. So the main one we're talking about is sunrise, sunset, Agnihotra. And Agnihotra is performed in a very specific way. So you need to perform the correct Agnihotra as given in homotherapy, because there's many different types of Agnihotra. So seek a homotherapy center like ourselves, and you'll be taught the Agnihotra that heals the environment. Now, this is a statement by our teacher, Sri Vasant Paranjapi, preceptor of homotherapy. Homes where Homa is done, Agnihotra specifically, are protected. They are shielded as though they become spiritual fortresses. Many people experience this all over the world. We cannot give guarantees, but we can share the multitude of experiences of protection worldwide. Agnihotra is a Vedic science. It's not a ritual. It's not a ceremony. It's not a Hindu practice. It's a Vedic practice, and it's pure Vedic science. The key is the correct performance of Agnihotra and regularity as much as you can. So here's our personal experience. So Om Shri Dham is the name of our Homa Therapy Center and farm. And we are in the Hunter Valley, New South Wales, in a place called Sweetman's Creek. So here is Om Shri Dham Farm, OSD, Om Shri Dham Farm is in this valley here. So the green is bush-covered hills all around us, and this is the valley that we live in. Now, these big outlined grey areas, these are massive bushfires. This is a massive front coming towards us, and this is a massive front coming just behind us. So this was in November 2019 to February 2020, when Australia had a bushfire emergency for 3 months. And at Om Shri Dham, we had 2 massive fire fronts, as shown here. The fire front came to 1/2 kilometre away from us. Here is 1/2 kilometre away from where we are. But never closer, as if there was an invisible barrier, even though we were warned to evacuate. And also when weather, especially when weather forecast was that the wind would be blowing in our direction, meaning blowing the fire from here towards our land. And that happened during several forecasts took place about the wind blowing towards our farm. But each time the wind ended up blowing in the opposite direction and blowing the fire away from us. And during the peak of the crisis, we even heard helicopters with dropping water over our property in the middle of the night. That was so strange because they don't work in the night. According to the fire services, this is most unusual, but it happened several times. It was like we were divinely protected, and things were instrumented just to protect us. During that time, when they were like firestorms, meaning they were so they were burning so powerfully that even helicopters could not fly above. It was too hot. Fire brigades could not approach properties. The fire was too powerful. Now, this is another property in New South Wales. I can't remember where, but it was on the East Coast where everything was just burning down. Now there was a lady who rang us and she said, I want to share a miracle with you. About 3 months before this fire emergency, I had this intense inner prompting to restart my Agnihotra practice. Now, when the firestorm hit, she just managed to escape. And as I said, the firefighters and the helicopter water bombers could not get near the area. She returned the next day, expecting to see her property completely consumed by fire, as were all the properties around her. But to her amazement, and to the fire brigade, the fire had come to 1 meter from her wooden farmhouse and spared her wooden farmhouse. Also, that picture there you see is the beehives, wooden beehives in a completely burnt out field. And the wooden beehives were not touched. Also, her cows were completely unharmed. She expected them to be dead, and she just out of hopefulness, she called them. And they came from she saw them approaching. They were all covered in soot, but they were unharmed. The only thing that burnt down on her property was her bush garden, but her vegetable garden was untouched. And also she had a shed full of precious crystal bowls, and that was completely untouched as well. So everything that was important, the life of her farm animals, her vegetable garden, her house, her beehives, and her precious crystal bowls in a shed out in the paddock, all completely untouched. Oh, she lost one water tank. This is about landslides. This is quite astounding. So this was in 1999 in Venezuela. It was torrential rains and a volcanic eruption caused landslides and mudslides, and over 1,000 homes were destroyed, and several thousand people died or were never found. So this is the testimonial of 2 Agnihotris, people who performed Agnihotra regularly, living in this city. So an Agnihotri, along with her brother, lived on the 4th floor of an apartment. She performed Agnihotra every day. Her brother continually made fun of her. But when the mudslide came, it filled up the building up to the 3rd floor and completely spared them. So that's one experience. She was just simply doing Agnihotra, sunrise, sunset, every day. Now, another experience, in the suburb of Los Corrales in this city, all homes were destroyed except for one that remained standing and untouched. And this home belonged to a lady who performed twice daily Agnihotra. And along with family members, she performed Om Triambakam Homa daily. So she fortified the biosphere. And she said she felt like there was an invisible wall surrounding and protecting the house. It was the same for us on our property. It was like the biosphere was protecting us from the fire. It never came closer than 1/2 kilometer. And as I've said, the biosphere is 1 kilometer. So it never came closer than the radius of 1/2 kilometer. Now, this is a tremendous tragedy that took place in 1984 in Bhopal, India. an industrial disaster, cyanide gas leakage over the whole of Bhopal, the world's deadliest industrial disaster, exposed 500,000 people to toxic gas and claimed thousands of lives and maimed many more. However, Agnihotra families were protected. Several families started up Om Triambakam Homa and found extra protection from burning eyes, sore throat, and nausea. And in the days after, volunteer Agnihotris performed Agnihotra amongst affected people and distributed Agnihotra ash medicine, including Agnihotra eye drops, giving much relief because people had burnt eyes and burnt lungs from the cyanide gas poisoning. So the ash medicine. So when you perform Agnihotra, sunrise, sunset Agnihotra, it produces a medicinal ash. It's astoundingly medicinal, that ash. And this was helping people. So the eye drops are distilled water, and you simmer this Agnihotra ash in the distilled water, and then you filter it through a fine filter, and these are dropped in the eyes and give tremendous relief, as well as taking the ash internally by putting it in water to heal the body. And also creating ash and ghee ointment and putting that on the burnt areas and any problem areas, any pain. So that's how you use the ash medicine. So there was a tornado in Los Banos, Philippines, this regular happening. There's a lady, actually she's a professor at the university, and she teaches agricultural science, and she's totally a proponent of Agnihotra and Homa organic farming. So she had taught several students, and close to the university, they lived in households, and we call them Agnihotra households here. So a twister touched down 2 houses away from a group of Agnihotra households, lifted up, bypassing these homes, and touched down again, wreaking destruction. So you can see how the Agnihotra biosphere literally protects. There were bushfires in Canberra, and several suburbs of Canberra were burnt down. There was one street totally burnt down, except for one home, and not even the wooden fence was touched by fire in this street. And there they did irregular Agnihotra. Actually, it was friends who would come every now and then and do Agnihotra in that house. I remember that so clearly. Then radioactivity. So it says in the Vedas that Agnihotra will neutralize radioactivity. And there's been proof of that taking place during Chernobyl and during Fukushima. And there's also been scientific tests done with radioactive material and Agnihotra. So during Chernobyl, when the nuclear reactor accident, a radioactive cloud passed over the whole of Europe, and there was radioactive fallout over Europe, right up to England. And there was a lady, she's a colleague of ours in Agnihotri, Karen Heschel. She had a Homer farm in Austria during that time in 1986. And she was practicing the principles of Homer organic farming, which includes sunrise, sunset, Agnihotra, and daily Om Trambakam Homer. Immediately after the Chernobyl accident, the Austrian government issued instructions that samples of all milk and fodder in the area should be tested for radioactivity. Scientists were shocked to find that milk and fodder on this Homer farm had normal background radioactivity, while all the surrounding farms had radioactive contamination. So here again, protection from radioactivity. Genetic contamination. I find this fascinating. There was an organic farm in Sumbawa, Indonesia, and an expert in organic farming who trained at university, Luca Foglietti, was facing a farm riddled with mosaic disease, and it was also in the surrounding jungle. So this virus alters the shape of leaves and significantly lowers fruit production. With the mosaic virus, there's nothing one can do. It goes into the RNA of plants, the genetic level. RNA and DNA are similar. It goes into the RNA of plants, lasts for 50 years, and it is spread by drops of water, chewing insects, manure. And if you harvest seeds from an infected plant, you will grow an infected plant. So his whole farm was consumed with this genetic disease. And skeptical but desperate, Luca started performing Agnihotra. He was a scientist and he thought it was ridiculous, but he had tried all the other organic techniques and nothing was working. So after 2 months of daily Agnihotra and spreading Agnihotra ash over the farm, mosaic disease remains on the original plants which die, but does not spread to newly cultivated plants from the same seed batch, which were obvious. That seed batch was obviously affected. But after 2 months of Agnihotra and cultivating the seeds again, the farm was free. Those plants from the second planting were free of mosaic virus. Not only that, he had spread Agnihotra ash over the soil, not expecting anything. He had Agnihotra ash from his Agnihotra fire, so he thought he'd spread it over the soil. And one day he decided to test the soil, and to his absolute amazement, the pH had changed from 8, which is very alkaline, to where it's very difficult to grow lots of vegetables if the pH is 8. And there's no worms in the soil when the pH is that high. But it had gone to neutral, 6.5, and perfect for growing vegetables, and the soil was full of earthworms, just in 2 months. And not only that, he'd placed Agnihotra ash down the bore water, and that bore water was very saline, salty. But the salinity, when he tested the bore water after 2 months, the salinity had greatly reduced as well. So here you can see in the application of farming, which is facing so many problems now because of environmental deterioration, Agnihotra is a tremendous aid, and its ash application. So how does homotherapy protect? There's a Vedic statement, which I like to quote a lot. Agnihotra changes matter. Agnihotra changes matter from a distorted state into an ideal state of matter. It seems that, so in other words, it changes that which is in a distorted state and therefore harmful into a life-friendly state. This is what Agnihotra does. And it seems that harmful energies such as radioactivity transform into a life-friendly state. How else can you explain that radioactivity is no longer a harmful, it's like neutralized in Agnihotra atmosphere. And we've also discovered, and many people have reported, that harmful EMF from Wi-Fi, 5G, etc., is neutralized in Agnihotra atmosphere. When we say neutralized, it's still there because you still get your Wi-Fi, but the harmful effect of it is gone. It's very interesting, but it brings about a balance, homotherapy. So pathogenic bacteria are greatly reduced while beneficial microorganisms thrive. And then if your pH is too high, too acidic or too alkaline, it reverts the soil to a neutral state, meaning it either makes the pH lower or higher, depending on what is required for a life-friendly soil. It's amazing. And this is happening all over the world on Agnihotra farms. I think this is important. Agnihotra impacts the mind. It neutralizes stress and it purifies our mental and emotional body, as well as our physical body. So when you perform Agnihotra, you feel centered, you feel balanced very quickly. So of course, in a centered and balanced place, we make better decisions, which is also a way we can look after ourselves and protect ourselves by making better decisions. Then our teacher would often say that Agnihotra is the greatest act of kindness to all of life. So when you perform Agnihotra, you're bringing all this life-sustaining energy into the environment, uplifting vibration, uplifting consciousness, bringing things back into a healthy, balanced condition. So this creates tremendous karmic credit if you believe in karma. In other words, the feedback from nature is gratitude and love. And that feedback comes to us, the performer of Agnihotra. And then the homobiosphere acts like a protective energy field, as I've attempted to show above. Here's two statements from Shiva Sant. He was born in 1921. He left the body in 2008. He's the preceptor of homotherapy, as we mentioned before, in its modern form as an antidote to pollution. It's a Vedic science. It must be performed correctly if you want the effects. Now, this is what he says. Very powerful statements about these times. Really, we are on the eve of destruction. However, let me tell you, exactly the opposite will be taking place in many homes across the world where Homa is performed, basically Agnihotra. Far from the misery found in the streets and the homes of many, now you will find more peace, more harmony in homes where this healing fire is practiced. And then another statement. Just as one disease begins to appear to be under control, another follows right behind. We are living in an age where disease is far more common than ease. You will see it in every area of life, all aspects, marriage, children, government, international relations, education. At no time in history has the world lived on the razor's edge so near destruction. And yet that destruction can be averted by practice of Homa healing fires. Agnihotra is the basic Homa, tuned to the biorhythms of sunrise and sunset. So this is the end of my PowerPoint presentation. So another way that we can protect our planet is by activating and protecting sacred sites. So you can perform Agnihotra on sacred sites, and it helps to reactivate them and protect them. This was a beautiful experience we had in WA at a sacred site. It was quite profound. By the way, there was an Indigenous man with us. And he was deeply touched by Agnihotra. He could feel its energy, and he gave us permission to do this Agnihotra on the sacred site. And he was truly blown away by what he felt when Agnihotra was performed. All right, well, I'll go out of screen share now. Okay. I'm just making sure everybody, a person was not able to enter. I don't know why, even though I pressed enter. Anyway, so that's the presentation. Now, does anyone have any questions? If you have a question, you can write it in the chat, or you can show yourself by and raise your hand, and then I'll ask you to unmute yourself. Okay, I can see. Looks like people are writing in the chat. What are the benefits of Om Triambakam Homa? Okay, so the main Homa that does all that we mentioned above is Agnihotra sunrise, sunset. So it's very specific time-wise, and that is the main one. You can't replace it with any other Homa, because Agnihotra is the only one that performed at sunrise and sunset that enables the life-sustaining energies to pour in at sunrise and fulfill a natural environment, create a natural environment again through the flood of life force and micronutrients. So but it can only be performed at sunrise and sunset. And if you want to strengthen the biosphere even further, you can do Om Triambakam Homa. So it basically fortifies the biosphere, but it also helps to process your issues. So it helps you, because it's ongoing, meaning Agnihotra, there's just a short mantra. For example, sunset, Agnaye Swaha, make an offering. Agnaye Idannamama Prajapataye Swaha, offering. Prajapataye Idannamama. And then you wait till the fire goes out. So it's a very short experience, but very powerful because of the timing, sunrise, sunset. Om Triambakam Homa is ongoing. You can do it for as long as you like or as short as you like. You can commit to 15 minutes of Om Triambakam Homa, or 1 hour, or people can come and take turns, like on our farm on full moons and no moons. We take turns and try to get as many hours of Om Triambakam Homa as possible to fortify the Agnihotra biosphere and send healing out to the surrounds, because on full moons and no moons, there's a lot of disruption in the atmosphere. So we soothe the atmosphere and heighten the vibration of the atmosphere through all the constant mantras, and inject nutrients into the atmosphere through the constant Homa. So Om Triambakam Homa is, the mantra is Om Triambakai Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivadanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityo Mukshiyamamritat. Then you make an offering. Swaha of ghee. Om Triambakai Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivadanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityo Mukshiyamamritat. Swaha, and you just keep going, as opposed to Agnihotra, which is just short and sweet, but at the exact potent moment. So the ongoing Om Triambakam Homa is in an ongoing fashion, injecting nutrients and heightened vibration into the atmosphere and fortifying the biosphere. But it's also enabling you to process your issues by constantly saying mantra, which takes you into a heightened vibration. And the presence of the fire is like burning up subconscious issues. So our teacher laughingly said once, if you perform Agnihotra regularly and daily Om Trambakam Homa, you'll never need a psychologist. Okay, so I hope that explains Om Trambakam Homa. That's great. Does Agnihotra help to reduce magpies and mosquitoes? Well, try it out. If you do it regularly, it usually brings balance to the environment. And balance would mean less mosquitoes and less midges, I would imagine. But it doesn't always take place. I do know in the Amazon, there were villages that were riddled with mosquitoes, and they started performing regular Agnihotra, and it had a big impact in reducing mosquitoes. But I have experienced here at our farm lots of mosquitoes, and I don't necessarily see reduction when I'm doing Agnihotra, but I don't know. Can't really answer that question. Just try it out. A couple of years ago, I was living in the very dry and remote rural area of Silver Valley, Queensland, and doing daily Agnihotra. I'll just read it out. A bad bushfire came down our street and burned a couple of kilometers of our street and destroyed a home. Even though it had burnt both sides of the street, it miraculously jumped to the opposite side of the street, just 2 houses before ours, and missed us. Later, we heard from one of the firemen that it was the worst fire he had seen in his 20 years. He said his sunglasses were fusing to his face and they did not know if they would get out alive. Luckily, they did, but the poor lady's house they were trying to save was lost. She fortunately got out and was okay. So here again, you see the biosphere just protecting this person's home. So this is Michael Dodds. He was performing Agnihotra, and his home was protected, and the nearby homes. Okay, let's see what else. Well, I think that's all on the chat. So are there anybody who, is there anybody who has questions and they want to raise their hand, and I'll ask you to unmute? Yes, okay, Cassandra. Okay, can you unmute? Yeah.
Hi, Lee.
Hi, Cassandra.
I don't really have a question. I guess I just wanted to make a comment on my experience performing Agnihotra sunrise and sunset. I've been doing it for about 7 months now, I think. And something that I have, I think, probably only just realized in the last maybe month or so is that I can notice that it's creating I guess, a little bit of a more calmness within me. So what I'm finding is that things that I would have reacted to previously and maybe got upset or angry or something about, is that it seems to pass very quickly. It's sort of like something will happen, and normally I know I would have reacted, but I just sort of go, oh, whatever, and then move on. So that there's this noticeable calmness that has created within me. And like I say, it's really,
there's a
sorry.
resilience. There's a resilience.
Yeah, resilience. Maybe that is a good word, because I just feel like things just don't get to me like they used to. And if something does upset me or something, it passes very quickly. I don't stay in that emotion. So I think that that's something that I didn't perhaps expect, and that has been such a beautiful gift that it's given me. Yeah.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I have exactly the same experience. And yeah, I'm sure most people who take up Agnihotra, they all say that they become calmer, more equanimous,
Mm.
clarity,
Yeah.
one of those things, a centered, balanced state. And not just the one who performs Agnihotra, but they notice shifts in their whole all their family members, even if they don't sit for Agnihotra, just being in the Agnihotra atmosphere. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because we're on acreage, but we've got some people only sort of 2.5 acres, so not big acreage, and we've got some people who live just sort of behind us to the corner, and they've been very noisy. They have loud parties, and they have this music goes till all hours of the morning, 2 or 3 in the morning. And since I've started Agnihotra, they have quietened down like immensely. It's gone from like a 9 down to like a 2, like the noise and the stuff. So yeah, that it's quite interesting. I was saying to my partner, have you noticed how much quieter they are since I've been performing Agnihotra? And interestingly, they're also to the east of the fire, which I find just a bit interesting as well. Yeah, so it's not just affecting us.
Yes, we've heard many stories like that. I think I posted one recently about somebody in a family in South America. They moved in to a flat, but it was an area in a street where there were drug addicts. And when they started performing Agnihotra, and the drug addicts would, smoke their dope or whatever they were doing, uh,
Yeah,
just adjacent to their house. And the drugs would waft up into the into the children's rooms, so it was quite disturbing.
yeah,
But they started performing Agnihotra regularly, and those people just moved away. They weren't, the vibration there was not conducive for them to sit and happily do their drugs. They moved on.
yeah.
Mm. Mm.
That's great, isn't it? It's so beautiful that not only is this practice healing, our beautiful earth and all the beings and the soil and everything around us, but that it gives us back this beautiful environment to be in as well in many different ways.
Yeah, it's a panacea, truly a panacea. Everyone needs Agnihotra.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Oh,
Thank you very much. I feel very blessed and honored to have that I was taught it by you. So thank you, you and Fritz.
oh, thanks, Cassandra. Well, I just feel equally blessed that we've come across this in our life. Just, I can't believe
Yeah,
how lucky we are to know about
yeah,
Agnihotra, but also
yeah.
uh, to have the staying power and the discipline to perform it. That's important
Mm.
because if you don't
Yeah, I
perform it,
miss it if
you don't get.
yeah, I miss it. Occasionally I have don't get home from work on a Wednesday sometimes in time, and on occasion I miss it, maybe once a fortnight or something, and I really miss it. I miss not doing it. I can't wait until the next day when I get to do it again. Yeah.
Yeah, you can radically feel the change. If you don't
Yeah.
perform Agnihotra, you feel the difference in the quality of the day or
Yeah.
and the quality in yourself. It's very tough.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah. So thank you.
I'm grateful too.
Mm.
Uh,
Ma'am,
Anybody else?
I
Yes.
want to ask one question. So before doing Homa, is it necessary to take a bath?
Uh, it's preferable to have a wash, uh, a full shower, for example, before sunrise Agnihotra or sunset Agnihotra. It's preferable, but not necessary. As long as you do a
Oh,
minimal cleansing, rinse your mouth, wash your face, wash your hands, and remove your shoes. So the minimal ablution,
Okay.
yeah, wash your face, rinse your mouth, wash your hands, remove your shoes, because this is what's presenting to the fire, your mouth and your hands. They must be clean, your face. And remove your shoes so you don't bring the energy, the street energy into Agnihotra. It's treated as a sacred act, Agnihotra. I do recommend that people shower for sunrise, because when we sleep, we detoxify, and so it's good to have a shower before we do sunrise. That's my personal opinion, rather than the minimal ablution. And
Okay.
also, in relationship to your question, for the ash to be medicinal, Agnihotra ash is medicinal, but it's even more potent and more medicinal if you have a shower before you perform Agnihotra. Then that ash is more medicinal.
Okay. So taking shower is necessary.
No,
Eh,
not necessary. It's preferable.
Preferable. Okay. Fine. And I am having low BP. So will it be cured by doing Agnihotra?
Well, as we said, we cannot give any guarantees, because healing is completely to do with the law of karma and the law of grace. But by practicing Agnihotra regularly, you attract a law of grace, more so in your life. But there has been a study,
Okay.
on blood pressure. People with high blood pressure and people with low blood pressure. And when they perform Agnihotra, their blood pressure normalizes, whether they have high blood pressure or low blood pressure. So studies have shown
Okay.
that to take place. So, most likely, if you perform Agnihotra sunrise, sunset, and take Agnihotra ash medicine, then you should see some good results in your health. Most people do.
Okay. Okay. Actually, while giving ahuti with rice, uh, so that burnt rice I like to eat very much. Means every day I am having it.
Oh, the Agnihotra ash, you consume the ash? Yes.
Yes, yes, yes.
So I think
Especially the burnt rice.
okay.
Burnt rice.
So
Yeah.
this sunrise
That
and
is
sunset, the sunrise and sunset Agnihotra.
only one time I am doing sunset Agnihotra.
Okay. Yeah, by consuming the
Yeah.
ash, including the burnt rice, yeah, that helps your health greatly, because the Agnihotra ash contains a very high level of prana, life force. So when you consume the
Okay.
Agnihotra ash, then you're giving your body life force to heal itself.
Okay.
It's very
Okay.
important to take the ash regularly. So what you do is, if you do you have purified water? Have you got water that's
Yes,
purified?
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So fill that. Get a glass jug or a copper vessel or a clay pot, and fill that with purified water. Then add some Agnihotra ash, like a couple of tablespoons of Agnihotra ash in there, and let the ash sink to the bottom. And then you drink that water throughout the day. And that is medicinal water. It also maintains your health.
Okay. 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 But I am directly taking that burnt rice. I like that taste too much.
Oh, that's good. It will only help.
Yeah.
It will only help your body, and
Burnt
make
rice.
that you like the
Yeah.
taste, because some people actually don't like the texture of the ash and prefer not to consume it. But it's a
Mm.
panacea, that medicine. It's gold to take that Agnihotra ash regularly, not just to heal yourself, but to maintain your health. So maintain your health, and then when you're ill, take it more. That's how we brought up our children. They were rarely on any form of medical medicine, just Agnihotra, a medicinal atmosphere created by Agnihotra, and consuming the ash medicine in water daily, several times a day, whether they were ill or healthy. every day, several times a day. And
Mm.
if they were ill, they would quickly get better. Pain, if you're in pain, you mix Agnihotra ash and ghee and rub it over at the painful area, and it often just removes the pain very quickly. So that's ash and ghee ointment.
Mm.
But sieve out the burnt rice, because then the ointment will be too gritty and scratchy. So sieve it, and then you have a fine powder and mix that
Okay.
with ghee, and that's an amazing ointment.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm.
Any other
Thank you,
questions?
ma'am. One more question, means should we move that pyramid patra, or should I keep this on the same place after doing Agnihotra Homa?
It depends. So when you perform Agnihotra, if you leave the pyramid untouched and the ash structure untouched, you don't bump the pyramid or anything like that, then the pyramid or the kund continues to remain connected to the sun. Like there's a stream of energy from the sun. Once we say the mantra and make the offering, then this energetic connection between the sun and the pyramid takes place. And once we perform Agnihotra, that beautiful inundation of energy comes. That's the primary healing of Agnihotra. But if we leave the pyramid in the same place and do not bump it after we've performed Agnihotra, then we also benefit from a secondary healing, which that pyramid remains connected to the sun, so it's vibrating out a beautiful healing vibration into the room. So if you want the
Okay.
secondary healing, it's not the important healing, because the important healing is the moment you say the mantra and make the offering. Then that inundation of energy comes in. That's the main healing. And the secondary healing is if you don't bump the pyramid and you leave it standing in the same place, then it's always emanating a lovely healing energy into the room or into the space where it's performed. So it's up to you.
Okay.
Some people
Okay.
remove it because they might have pets, animals in their home, or they might have young children who would knock the pyramid, or they might perform Agnihotra outside and it's raining, or there's insects landing in there. So it's better once you've performed Agnihotra for cleanliness to keep the ash clean, to either cover the pyramid, but that will stop the secondary healing. But at least you're keeping the pyramid clean and you're keeping the ash clean, free from animals touching it or insects or dust, But if it's performed in one's home and it's out of reach of children and animals, etc., should be fine just to leave it where it is.
Okay. And one more question, for doing Trambakam Homa, should I do in a different pyramid patra or same pyramid patra which I am using for Agnihotra Homa?
Well, it's preferable to get a separate pyramid because Agnihotra energy is different to Om Trambakam energy. So you want the Agnihotra energy to build up in the Agnihotra pyramid alone. And it's only Agnihotra ash that is medicinal, not Om Trambakam ash. So it's good to have two pyramids. One for Om
Okay.
Trambakam Homa, one for Agnihotra.
Okay. Okay. And what are the benefits of Vayurhuti Homa? Vyahruti Homa?
Viruti Homa, well, if you're going to do Om Trambakam Homa, you initiate that Homa with Viruti. So you need Viruti if you're going to do Om Trambakam Homa. You start the fire with Viruti, then proceed with Om Trambakam. But you can also do Viruti anytime. So Agnihotra is specific to sunrise and sunset. But say
Yeah.
you would like to create a peaceful environment. Say you've just come from a very stressful situation and you would like to restore some peace inside yourself or inside in your environment, then you can perform a Viruti. You don't have to wait till sunset Agnihotra. So Viruti is like a miniature Agnihotra. It harmonizes and balances the prana in the atmosphere. So if and stress and anxiety and negative states of mind throw the prana out of balance, because prana and mind are connected. So we can correct the atmosphere, we can heal the atmosphere by performing the Viruti Homa. We can bring it back into balance. But it's not as powerful as Agnihotra. But the advantage of Viruti is it can be done anytime.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
It's my pleasure. Now someone is asking how to prepare eye drops. Okay, well, you take a copper, maybe your copper dish, or some copper vessel with no soldering in it. Make sure it's very clean. Fill it with distilled water. Put some Agnihotra ash in there and then simmer it for about 10 minutes. And then filter that through a very fine filter, like a coffee filter, for example. And that's your eye drops. And keep them in the fridge so that they're preserved. But you might have to make new eye drops, say, every 3 days. But it's very soothing for the eyes and very healing for the eyes. We'll finish here. Well, thank you, everyone, for attending, and I hope this has been a helpful session. And please let other people know about Agnihotra and also about these Zoom sessions, which anyone can attend. New people or people who have been performing Agnihotra for a while. And thank you, Michael, for sharing your wonderful experiences. Thank you so much. Okay. Take care, everyone, and hopefully we'll see you again.